we all have to transform from one time to another. We all have to transform ourselves and our businesses to get from where you are to where you want to be. Well, Jeff Griffin is with us today, and Jeff is a speaker and an author, and he helps people make that transition to where they want to go and what they want to do. Jeff, thank you for being on the business of sales, man.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be sitting on the shoulders of giants. You being the giant, and so thanks for letting me shine my light on your audience and maybe share a few things, and celebrate all the success that you have done up until this point. I appreciate you letting me be on here today.
Well, you're very welcome. We're proud to have you, brother.
Yeah.
Very proud to have you.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how you got to this point where you're a speaker and an author and doing things to help people move themselves and their businesses forward.
Yeah, absolutely. A great question. I was an educator for 17 years in high school and college, and well liked, sought after, and we were transforming lives. The problem was there was only 300 a year maximum. And I really feel like my calling and purpose is to get this message, this impossible message, out to the masses, to where they can believe that it is possible. And what I mean by that is, I was a collegiate football player that broke his back in between seasons. I was up 40 feet on some scaffolding and I fell and I stuck the landing straight-legged and found myself paralyzed from the waist down next to an unpainted barn. And my identity and my dreams of playing on the big stage were shattered along with my back.
Wow.
And so I was at a hinge point. I was at the crossroads. I'm like, okay, what now? I had my identity that I had worked my whole life just stripped away, taken from me immediately. It put me in a tailspin. It put me in what I call the sauna of self-pity. I was in that syrupy, sticky sauna of self-pity, that mess. And I had a prisoner at the hospital who was doing some therapy. He was lifting weights, had an aneurysm in his brain, and I had a prisoner ask me a question that set me free from my prison, and that helped me get out of that tailspin, that helped me flip the switch and reframe and be able to dream new dreams. Because it was so hard for me to dream new dreams because I had worked so hard for this one that was taken away from me. And the question that was asked was, "Why are you crying, dude?" And he said it with a slurred speech. He's like, "Why are you crying, dude?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Why are you crying, dude?" And that question snapped me out of my pity party. And I looked around. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, there's a guy who's paralyzed from the neck down. He has a halo screwed to his skull, and he can't even feed himself. And I can feed myself. And there's another guy next to him who's paralyzed from the neck down, but he has some movement in his arm. He has a fork taped to his finger and thumb, and he's feeding himself. And by the time he gets the fork to his mouth, the morsels had fallen off his fork, and he's barely eating.
Yeah.
I can move my arms. I can hug. I can eat. I can do all these things. And so immediately I flipped a switch. I exited the sauna of self-pity, and I started to focus on things that I could do instead of what I couldn't do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what I could do is dream new dreams. And so I started dreaming new dreams. And I started to live life to the fullest. One of my dreams is to walk again. The doctor gave me 0% chance of ever walking, standing, moving my legs again. And I remember, telling my dream to the doctor, and he's pointing his finger at me. He's like, "Griff, don't get your hopes up. That's impossible." And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm out of here. I'm not going to learn how to live life from a wheelchair because I want to live life, period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you given your heart a reason to beat? Are you barely breathing and calling it a life? And so this idea of when's the last time we've allowed ourselves to dream? When's the last time we've allowed ourselves to dream in color, in HD? When's the last time you allowed yourself to listen to that song that sings inside your soul? And when's the last time you stopped long enough to weave that tapestry of dreams that's going to hang on somebody else's social media wall?
Wow.
And so that's kind of the genesis of where I got to with speaking. I'm like, okay, I want to impact thousands, if not millions. I'm only doing 300 a year maximum.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what can I do? And I decided to pick the scariest profession out there.
I don't know. There's people that would argue with you and tell you that sales was really the scariest one, but I hear where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Get up in front of people and talk and take some talent and some decision and a lot of practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love, that you talked about sales, because everything in life is about sales.
Oh, yeah.
Getting married is about sales.
Best sale I ever made.
Right, and telling the doctor telling me you'll never walk again was a perfect pitch for me to say, you know what, tell me that I can't, and I'll show you that I can.
Exactly.
And the doctors gave me 0% chance of standing, 0% chance of having kids. They're like, this first function to go, last to come back. Some of the experts, Morris, gave me 0% chance of getting married, not because of my wheelchair, but just because of who I am.
Yeah.
But I've been married for 25 years. We have 4 beautiful biological kids, and now I can get up. Part of this, part of the transformational experience, the life-altering experience that I give these audiences that I go and speak all over the world and in boardrooms and with coaches and executive teams, is I share this story of chasing after your dream, getting it, having it being shattered and taken away, and then discovering a new dream and knowing how to chase after that and to take those steps in getting that. And so I get up and stand at the end, and people are blown away, like, holy cow, you're told the 0% chance of ever being able to stand. How many of your sales persons that are listening here are like, you can't sell, you can't get this level of money this year, or you can't do that, or you can't do this. But I stand at the end of my speech just to kind of eliminate all those excuses. Mm-hmm. And then to really put a cherry on top, I walk across the stage, or waddle, or as I like to say, walk with swagger.
There you go.
Because after 30 years, I've been able to teach myself, I've been able to get some function in my legs to the point where I can stand up, I can walk across the stage. And if I would have listened to the expert, who was the doctor, mm-hmm. that told me it was impossible, I'd never be here.
That's right.
I'd never be where I am today. And I wouldn't have discovered these flecks of gold that I've learned to help other people, to help sales teams, to help individuals, to help leaders. And so that's what we do. We help high-level leaders increase their bottom line. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that appears with a keynote speech. Other times it's a workshop. Other times it's my 10-step online course. But we go and we discuss what I believe is the solution, is the foundation to every challenge that we're faced with. The foundation of those Superman solutions that are required to overcome those problems, those challenges that we have. And it's been a beautiful journey. And I've spoken to some relationship managers, a sales team for a bank. I love how people.
Let's call it something else.
Let's call it something else, right? This is our sales team. We need to bring in $400 million new dollars into our bank, and so we have 60 people to do that. Well, how can we do that?
Relationship manager.
And the relationship manager, absolutely. So, how can we do this?
Just like me.
Absolutely. But the thing is these salesmen are human beings, and these human beings, and this is what I've learned is I come out and I address the elephant in the room about how good looking I am. I'm just kidding. But I'm in a wheelchair. I'm paralyzed. I was given a 0% chance of ever walking or standing or moving again. But I've learned that most of us, if not all of us, are paralyzed from the demons of doubt, fear, and complacency, which keeps us from chasing down our dreams, which keeps us from obtaining these sales that we want. And we're humans. Salesmen and salespersons are human beings that have their doubts, that have their deficiencies, that perhaps don't know how to get this. And these guys were tasked with $400 million new dollars, and so they brought me in. I shared the 3Ds with them, their team. And the VP comes up to me afterwards like, Griff, thank you so much for eliminating our excuses. There's no reason why we can't hit our target. So 12 months later, I called them up, and I'm like, I just wanted to follow up and find out how well you guys did last year. Her assistant's like, Griff, I don't know what she told you, but we ended up with $530 million last year. And I'm like, I should have taken a percentage.
Of just the increase.
Of just the increase. Absolutely. Not hitting the 4 million that they had doubts about, but the additional 130 million that we exceeded. And it's beautiful. I spoke to a company twice and shared with them, some of these gold nuggets that I've discovered over these years. And this company, during COVID, since everything was shut down, I couldn't go out and speak in front of people. They asked me to be their business development and help them implement some of these gold nuggets. And so in 2 years, the owner's son, who was one of the owners there, mm-hmm. 3-part equal owner, he took his dad's company from 5 million to 50, but he was hitting the ceiling. He didn't know how to go from the next stage. And of course, the constraint, I believe, is belief. First of all, to believe that you can become.
Oh yeah, you got to think it first.
Right, and so we went in there and we implemented some of these gold nuggets. And in 2 years, we took their company from 50 million to 130
Very good.
in sales.
That's beautiful.
And it's a plumbing and HVAC company, and so it is like a blue collar company where we were able to help them find that success that they were desiring.
Jeff, I got a question for you. We're talking about dreaming new dreams and dreaming the impossible. I find that sometimes people think about something, they even tell you they've got a dream, but it's not really theirs.
Right.
It's their spouse's dream for me to do this, or it's my mom's dream. My mom dreamed I was going to be a chemical engineer, and by George, I went to college, got that degree, went out and did the job for 5 years.
And hated it.
Hated it. Before I got out and said I'd got to go sell life insurance. And I had fun. I was in that business training salespeople for 32 years.
Yeah.
The point is, how do you help people get to their dream and not the world's dream for them, or what they think the next right thing is for them to do? How do you help them get to their dream and their desire?
It's a great question. Great question. And I was talking about the foundation, right? That there's 3 Ds to every challenge that we have out there. And I believe those 3 Ds, or those 3 gold nuggets, are desire, dream, and do. So we dissect what a desire is. We take a look at the anatomy of a dream, and then we have some specific things that will help people accomplish that dream. And so your great question is how do you help somebody find their dream instead of somebody else's?
Yeah.
Well, we first have to understand what a dream is. Most people think, goals or dreams. Like, hey, what's your goal this year? My goal is to bring in 30 new clients and increase my margins.
Yeah. I have a whole workshop that would take issue with you and tell you those are not dreams. Those are not goals. Those are desires.
Yeah.
The goal is something I have total and complete control over. But that's my workshop, not yours. Tell me.
And I love that. And I love the fact that you've separated and you've identified the difference between that's not a goal. That's not, those are a desire. Those are desires that you want, and now you're going to set up the steps to get you there.
Yeah.
And so if you understand the mechanics. If you understand the mechanics, you just plug and play.
Right. Oh, totally.
But the problem is most people don't know what they want. The majority of us know what we don't want.
Right.
And where our focus goes, our energy flows. And so if we keep on talking about what we don't want, we're going to continue to get what we don't want. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be fat. I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to. The list goes on. But the problem is if we continue to focus on what we don't want, then we're going to continue to get it. Yeah. And so there's a lot of people out there saying you got to have a dream, you got to have a why, you got to do, but they don't teach you how to. They don't teach the mechanics on how to develop your dream, not somebody else's. We call it dreamweaving. In 10 minutes, it can change your life. A lot of times when you first start doing it, it may take 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 2 hours to kind of pull it all out. But if George Bernard Shaw is accurate, he's the guy who helped with the, I think it was the thesaurus that he helped with, or maybe it's the encyclopedia, but George Bernard Shaw said that 2% of the population think, 3% of the population think they think, and 95% of the population would rather die than think.
Yeah, exactly.
And so if that's the case, I've been witnessing that these last 3 years. People would rather die than think, and people would rather live a life and live somebody else's dreams instead of taking the time to think and taking the time to come up with that dream, to identify what is really deep inside them and pull it out of them, and to conduct and orchestrate the song that sings inside their soul. And so we call it dreamweaving, and it's just a matter of, okay, I've got to understand what success is, and I believe that success is a 3-part series, and it's KFC. Not the finger-licking good stuff, not the chicken, not the finger-licking good chicken that you eat at KFC. Hopefully KFC will give me a sponsor for this. They're not, but it's an acronym. KFC stands for, the 3 steps to success that I believe in. And that is, you got to know what you want. You got to finish what you start, and you got to celebrate the process.
Know what you want, finish what you start, and celebrate the process.
KFC.
I love it.
It's finger looking good, but the problem is most people don't know what they want. They don't know what they want.
That's right.
And if
They
we,
haven't spent any time thinking about what it is they want compared to what they might on the surface tell somebody when they ask that question. You got to dig deep and go down long and stay down and figure out what it really is.
right.
Jeff, thank you so much for being on the Business of Sales. Tell us how we can find you, how we can find your book, how we can engage you to come speak to our groups.
Absolutely. First of all, if you go to griffinmotivation.com, Griffin, it's like Griffin, like half eagle, half lion, the mythical beast.
Yeah.
I like to think that I'm a mythical beast. My wife reminds me that I'm not a beast nor mythical. And but if you go to griffinmotivation.com, and you can get my books there. If you buy 2 books, shipping is free. If you throw the coupon, I'm going to throw the coupon code in here. I'm going to throw out a little bit of love. If you put the coupon code LOVE, LOVE, we'll knock off 50%.
Wow.
But if you don't want to pay anything, but you want to get in touch with me, go to my website. But if you go to the contact page and you send me an email with the subject line possible, I will send you the free possibility principle that is the footings of the foundation. People pay me thousands of dollars to come and teach them the 3Ds, the foundation to their problems. And I'll include the footings, which is even more valuable than the foundation. The footings is what the foundation sits on.
Yeah.
And the footings is the possibility principle is what I call it. And if you go to my website, go to the contact page, put in the subject line possible, we will send you that the possibility principle. And, that it's a simple principle, but so powerful. It'll change your life.
Most of the most powerful stuff is pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Griffin, this has been so much fun. We could keep going for an hour
We could.
or more, easily, very easily. GriffinMotivation.com. Y'all go check it out because it's good stuff. And again, Griff, thanks so much for being here.
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate it. And again, I always say that there's power in organized effort. Thank you for organizing this and allowing me to shine a light on what you're doing.
Thank you, my friend. You guys go out there, go to GriffinMotivation.com. Get possible. Subject line, possible. Get it. I'm going to just as soon as we finish up here. Hey, go have a great week. Enjoy yourselves. I'm Morris Simpson. I'll be right back here next time on the Business of Sales.